Okay, good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. This is Mr. Music. Today we're going to go over some of the basics of Google Slides, and I'm also going to give you an assignment to start working on using your science book and Google Slides. Okay, to start off, let's just get into Google Slides. If you want to go into Google Slides, you just click on Chrome. Once you're in there, you should see this page like you're going to Google something. And you should already be signed in. You can see I'm signed in here. You should see your little icon as well. To get to slides, you click on the waffle and go to slides. Okay, here, these are some of my old slides. You may or may not have some slides down here. They also give you some templates, but today we're going to be making a blank slide. We're going to start from scratch. So if I click on blank, it opens up Google Slides. Now, the first thing you want to do if you're making a brand new Google slide, if your teacher gives you an assignment in Google Classroom, they probably have already titled your slide, but if you're making one on your own from scratch, the first thing you want to do is give it a title, and that's just so you don't have a bunch of untitled presentations in your Google Drive. So we're going to entitle this Google slide Properties of Matter. Whoops. Properties of Matter, and that's just from your science book, page 340, that lesson 1. Okay. Now the first thing that pops up over here on the right is your different themes. Okay. Now keep in mind, if you're using this to present something in front of the class, you usually want to go with high contrast, meaning white background or black background. It's usually not the best idea to go with blues or greens or things like that, just because it makes them more difficult to read. So for this example, let's use, this is fairly high contrast. We'll use this theme, the game day theme. Okay, fairly high contrast, meaning it'll be easy to see if I project it up on a projector. Okay, so we're done with the themes. I'm going to exit out of the themes. And let's just kind of go through these tools up here and what you can do in Google Slides. Okay, file, of course, this is where you're going to, you can change the name. You can make a copy if you need to. I do this quite often. Or you can trash it. Most likely, though, you won't be using the File button too often. Okay. Edit. This is, if you ever do something in your Google slide and you have to raise your hand and say, oh, Mrs. Calza or Mr. Music, I accidentally did this and now I can't see this picture. Or where did my picture go? Or I accidentally deleted this and I can't find it. If you ever do something and you're not sure what you did exactly, just come up here to edit and you can undo your last action. If it was a couple moves ago, let's say you tried to fix it on your own and you just made it worse, click undo a few more times till it gets back to what it looked like before you made your mistake. Okay, so this is a key button that many students forget about using. They always want to raise their hand first and say, Mr. Music, just tell me what to do. You can fix your own errors. This is how you do it. Use the undo button and you can click it more than once. Okay. View. This is if you want to present when you're ready to present, but there's also some other places you can present as well. You probably won't use this one very much. Insert. This is where you can insert different things. Put in a text box, images, and I'll show you another way to add images and videos and things like that as well, that I think is a little easier than using insert. Word art, that's just where you can, here I'll show you one real quick. You click on word art, type in a word, hit enter, and it now makes it into a word that you can now manipulate. You can turn it sideways, hello. You can then change the color. If I want to go to, I believe it's formatting, yeah, formatting, then I can fill it with a different color. So you can see some people have some fun with that. You can make it bigger. Again, click here to turn it, rotate it however you want, make it longer. But anyways, now to get rid of this, let's say, okay, I played with that, I don't like it. I can right click with my mouse, come up here and cut it out, and it's gone. Okay, so that's under Insert Word Art. You can make arrows pointing to different things if you have different arrows, or you want to create like the water cycle or something like that, and you can have arrows pointing to the different states that the water is in through the water cycle. Or in this case, if you're doing states of matter, you can show gas to a solid to a liquid, however you want. And then of course you can add different shapes as well to your presentation. Okay, so that's under Insert. Slide. Now under Slide, the main thing you're going to probably be using is changing the layout. Okay, it defaults to this title slide. I usually like to use title and body, or title and 2 columns. Those are my favorite, but it kind of depends on what you're doing. Okay, depends on what you're doing in your slide. Now I'm going to switch ours to title and 2 columns. Okay, so you can see we have a title now and 2 columns. So again, that's under Slide and Apply the Layout. Of course, we can change the background as well. We can choose a different color, but remember, for presentations, you want to keep it high contrast, so usually a black or a white background, and then letters that are high contrast as well. You can see if I do like a black background, now it's starting to get a little more difficult to see those words, and it can get even worse from there. So I'm going to change this back, change my background back to white, because I want high contrast. Okay. Formatting, this is if you want to change the size of your text, things like that. You can change it here. We also used it earlier when we did our word art to change the color of it. Arrange, I don't use this at all, so you probably won't be using it at all as well. Tools, these are very important. Your tools you will be using quite often, and they're very helpful. Okay. One, you have the spelling tool, obviously does spell check, and then the research tool. This one is important. Under research, so again, tools, and then I clicked on research, and this pops up over here to the right, and then you see this little G right here for Google. This is very important as well, because as you're going through doing some research later, you want to narrow your search. So you click on the G. You don't want to search everything. You may only want images, meaning pictures of that word to represent that word. You may want videos showing the states of matter, for example. Scholarly work, you probably won't be using that until you get into high school or college. That's where you can find scholarly articles and books that have been written about a particular topic. Famous quotes with your words in it. Again, probably won't use this in the science lesson, but again, maybe for an English lesson. And then dictionary is an important one. This is where we can find out what the word means, pull the definition of words right from the internet. Okay, and I'll be showing you that in a minute as well. So again, to get there, tools, you click on research. This pops up, and then you want to change it. Don't leave it on everything, because it's too broad. You're going to be sitting there forever trying to scroll through to find exactly what you want. In this project, you're going to need to find pictures, and you're going to need to find the definition of words. So you're going to be using these two. Okay. All right. And table, if you want to insert a table, that's like a graph type thing. There's a table, for example, in your science book on page 343, and it shows the different weight on different planets. So if you wanted to include a table like that, you could, and then you just pick the dimensions of your table. Okay, but again, you won't need this one today. Poll Everywhere, that is an application that I purchased, so you guys won't have that. And then, of course, help. If you need help with a particular thing, you can type it in here if you're not sure how to do something. Okay, coming down here, a lot of these buttons do the same things I showed you up here, so you won't really need them. Here's that undo button, a quick link to it. Zoom in, here's where you can add a text box, but again, you could have done that under insert as well. Add a picture, which you can do under insert, add a shape, which you can also do under insert, and select a line, you can do it under insert. Comment, if you want to add a comment to somebody's page, if you're reviewing somebody else's Google slide, you can click here to add comments. This is where another place where you can change your background, but again, I think it was under format where we said we could change our background. Let me double check. Oh, sorry, under slide we could change our background. So again, just a quick link to that. Change the layout, which is also under slide, but they give you a quick link here. Change your theme, which is also under slide, but they gave you a quick link. And then transitions. Now, transitions you've used, I'm sure, in PowerPoint before. This is where you can have your titles bouncing in or flying into the slide. These can be fun to play with, but generally speaking, if you're making a presentation using Google Slides, transitions are more of a distraction. You rarely see them in professional presentations, so I don't recommend using them. Okay. All right, now let's get to your assignment. Let me cover just a couple more things. Sorry. Here's where you can. Okay, fill color, line color. So fill color is where you're filling in the background. Line color is where you're changing the lines that surround each box. Line weight just means how thick the lines are around the boxes. Line dash you won't be using. Here's where you can change the font of your presentation. You can change the size of the words. Bold, italicize, underline something, and change the color of the text, or you can highlight the text by clicking on the word highlight, and you can use like a highlighter covering the text, or you can change the actual color of the text. You can insert a link. We won't be doing that here, but this is where if you have a word like you want your viewer to go to another website, you can say click here, and they click on that word and it takes them to another website. Again, here's another place to add comments. Here's where you can align the words, so you can, if you're typing in this box and you want it to be centered, you can click here to center those words. Okay. Line spacing, this is if you want more space between each line. Probably use that more on Google Docs. If you want a numbered list, or if you want a bulleted list, okay, you won't be using any of these. Present, this is when you're ready to show your presentation. Okay, present from beginning with speaker notes, and you can see down here you can add notes if you're presenting this in front of an audience. Or present in new window, that just means it pops open a new tab when you hit present. I usually just use the present button. And comments, this is again where you can, if you're reviewing somebody else's Google slide, you can leave them comments on it. And then share, this is where you can share it with your teacher, share it with other students so they can review it for you, give you feedback on it. Okay. All right, now that I've gone over kind of the basics, at any point during the lesson, if you want to do something and you've forgotten how to do it, come back to the video. You can fast forward, rewind throughout the video to find exactly what you need. But let's get into the actual assignment. Okay, on page 342 in your science book, so you'll need that out, there is a list of vocabulary words. And what I want you to do is make a new slide for each vocabulary word. I want you to give its definition, in this box, so you're going to want to change that layout. You're going to want to change the layout to title and 2 columns. You'll put the actual vocab word up here. So for example, the first one is volume. I'll walk through the first one. You don't have to choose the same colors as me or the same background, but you do need to have that layout. Okay, you can have different theme, different background, but your layout does need to be the title and 2 columns. You don't have a choice on that. So here's the vocabulary word. Down here, I want to put in the definition of that word. So the easy way to do that is to left click, highlight that word volume, and then I'm going to come up to my ever important tools. I click research, or I could have clicked, there's a even faster way if you're just wanting the definition. I can click define. But again, under the research tool, I can also go to dictionary, and that will define it for me. So I click dictionary. Now your job is you want to make sure you look closely at these definitions because there can be more than one definition for a word. In this case, definition 1, a book forming part of a work or series. Well, that's not the kind of volume we're dealing with. If you're not sure the kind of volume that you're dealing with, or whatever the word may be, mass, matter, use your science textbook, use your context clues to decide which one that we're dealing with. So here it says the volume of an object is the space it takes up. Well, that has nothing to do with a book part of a work or series. The amount of space that a substance or object occupies. So there's my definition that I want. So now I'm just right clicking. I highlight just that definition. I don't want this one. And then I right click, I drag it, and I can drop it right into my slide without having to copy it. Okay. So it's in there. I can change the size of the text if I want to make it bigger. I highlight it. I come up here, I can change the font so it matches the rest of my slide. Change the size, whatever I want to do with that, okay? So now I have the word, the definition here, and now over here I want to include a picture, okay? So I already have my research bar up, but again, that is under Tools, Research. I don't want the definition anymore. Now I want images. Okay, so I click on images. Now here's an important thing, couple important things with images. One, I don't want you scrolling down all the images. It's a waste of time. There's at least one image you can use in the very first group of images that pop up. So do not, I repeat, do not scroll down and look through all of these images. Okay? You don't need to do so, and I'm telling you, you're not allowed to do so. Now, pictures of volume. Well, again, this is not the kind of volume that we're talking about here. So we wouldn't use this or the headphones picture because we're not talking about the sound of something. We're talking about the amount of space or substance an object occupies. So we want to pull in an image that makes sense. So again, I just grab the image, I left click on it, I just pull it and drop it. Okay. Now this one's a little big, we want to make it smaller. And then I close this. You say, oh, why does my slide look weird? Well, this is taking up some space. So if I close this, it'll go back to normal. Okay, and then you can size this exactly how you want to. And now I have the word, the definition, and an image for it. Okay. Now, I'm ready to go on to my next word. All I need to do, a couple things I can do. I can click plus sign for a new slide, or I can click right below the slide I just did and hit enter, and it opens up your next slide. Now notice this isn't the layout I want, so I go up to slide, or I can go over here to layout, either one. And then I click title and 2 columns because I want to have the word, the definition, and then a picture. So my next word is mass. I'll do the first two, and then you can do the rest on your own. Again, at any time though, if you think you're ready, you can start working on this, and then if you forget how to do something, you can come back to the video. So mass, now I want the definition, so I highlight that. Tools, I want to define it. Pops up my, notice it already changed it to dictionary. So mass, the Christian Eucharist or Holy Communion, no, that's not the mass I'm talking about. A cohort, typically large body of matter with no definite space. The majority of, the great mass of population. Relating to, done by, or affecting large numbers of people. So which one do we think this is going to be? Well, let's use our book. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. We may have to scroll down. I don't see a good one, actually. Let's see. Really large body of matter. Yeah, I don't like any of these for our scientific definition. So this is actually a good example. If that is the case, then you got to do it the hard way, the old school way, which is perfectly okay. If that happens, so you find the definition of the word, and you don't find one that really matches our scientific definition that we want to use very well, then I want you to use your textbook, the old school way. So go to the back of the science textbook, use the glossary, and find mass. Mass is on page 495 in your science textbook. Or you can use the definition from the lesson that we're on, 342. But it says the amount of matter in an object. Period. And we can leave it at that. Now I want my image, so all I have to do, I don't have to type it in again. I just come up here to, come up here to the dictionary, and I click on images instead. Okay, again, do not scroll. You do not need to scroll. Okay, so I'm going to choose, let's see, I'm going to use this one. Okay, don't spend too much time trying to come up with your image. Again, you say, oh, my slide looks strange, just close out this little research panel and your slide will go back to looking normal again. Okay, again, to get your next slide, because you're done with this one, you have the word, the definition, and an image. You just can hit plus to get a new slide, or you can click below the slide and hit enter, and it will pop up your next slide. Uh-oh. If the enter doesn't work, just hit the plus. I don't know why it didn't work that time. All right. You are good to go now. Again, if you need to look back at anything, you've forgotten how to do something, I want you to go back in the video. I don't want you to raise your hand. I want you to use the video. All right. Thank you, and I will see you later.